Let's check out what's in the box here. So it's a very minimalist setup here. Some protective packaging. The actual muffler itself. More protective packaging. And just this tiny bag, which includes a sticker and 2 washers, or plastic spacers I guess, that we use to mount things up to the factory bracket. Let's take a look at the contents of the bag here. The muffler comes already assembled with these 2 springs holding this receiver on to the mufflers themselves. The factory bolted them up like so, and this metal bracket seems like it's made out of steel. Is hooked right up to this thing. The only thing you'll need to be doing is attaching a single spring to this mount here. Let's take a moment to examine the muffler here. It comes from the factory with this steel bracket already bolted to the 2 loose mufflers. This bracket just looks like it's painted steel. It's got a rubber bushing in here to mount to the frame of the bike, and comes with 2 plastic insert spacers to reduce it down for the bolt that fits through there. You just reuse the factory bolt. You also reuse the factory spring that holds the bottom of this Y pipe to the header on the bike. So it's a very simple mounting. From the factory, it comes out of the box with these 2 springs attached to hold each muffler on. It looks like you could disassemble the muffler from the Y pipe pretty easily. And in fact, it wouldn't be that hard to drill out these rivets in the future if you needed to repack either one of these mufflers with new batting. So that's cool. The cones, the mufflers, and the Y pipe are all made out of stainless steel with high quality TIG welds, it looks like. These welds all look like they're solid. I'm not concerned that any of them would ever snap off. So this is a top tier muffler. I have a Scorpion exhaust on my bike currently, and the metal used in this muffler is much thicker than the Scorpion, and I would consider the Scorpion to be a pretty high quality muffler in and of itself. So it looks very cool, but it is heavier than my Scorpion muffler by a noticeable amount, but it's also because the materials used are thicker, and it's, like I say, it's stainless steel. This is kind of a lifetime product. It's not going to wear out. And the nice thing is, in the future, if it changes colors or darkens, you could always clean this up. You're never going to sand through this metal and wear it out, so that's nice to know. But the DB killers installed on this reduce the exhaust down quite a bit. The holes you see here is the size that it exits. Everything else is blocked. And there's 2 Allen head bolts. There's 1 each that holds the sound reducer insert inside the cones. If you used an L-shaped Allen wrench, you can slowly get those out. There's not much room to work, but eventually those will come out and slide right out, and you just have a straight through exhaust. So let's get these put on the bike and see what they sound like. Okay, so when you've removed the factory exhaust, you undo some bolts over here. Well, I don't know if you can see it, but on the left hand side of the bike, you undo 1 bolt that holds the catalytic converter of the factory muffler on, and on the right side of the bike you end up releasing a bolt that holds kind of an aluminum dog bone, cast aluminum piece here, and you need to actually remove this dog bone. It's just a 10mm wrench and a 5mm Allen bolt, and they're on there. Pretty easy to remove. So that needs to come off because the fitment of the spark exhaust calls for reusing this bolt here and mounting to this aluminum standoff from the rear passenger foot peg mount. So let's see how this all fits up, and I'll start the camera again when I've got the spark muffler mounted up. Let's talk about the tools you'll need. Pretty simple stuff here. 5mm Allen head, 10mm wrench just to get nuts off and stuff. Focus the camera here. I use this pair of flat pliers just to grab the springs and remove them. These springs aren't that tight, so they're pretty easy to work with. I use the rubber side of this hammer to tap this guy home to get it to mount up down here into the header. And then you can see underneath, I just reused the spring. This happens to be the spring from my Scorpion exhaust, but you'll be reusing your factory Ducati spring. And it's hard to see here in this light, but note that the muffler mounts from the back side of this standoff on the rear passenger foot mount. Just that one 5mm bolt comes through here with a 10mm nut. You sandwich the two metal hat-shaped bushing spacers on either side, and then just go right through the rubber bushing. I use blue Loctite to thread lock this, because you really wouldn't want this to fall off while you're riding. Anyway, that's all there is to installing this. Get back here and see what it looks like on the bike. There's my bike. So you can see the Scorpion exhaust I removed. Gives it a little bit more of a classy look, I think. Definitely a more old school look, but at the same time this is a high-tech exhaust made out of stainless steel, so it's definitely got a new school look to it as well. Kind of reminds me of some stuff I've seen on British bikes. Mufflers like British Customs and whatnot. So let's fire this thing up. See what it sounds like. Here we go. This is with no dB killers installed. You can see them laying under the muffler there in the video here. It sounds better than my Scorpion exhaust, hands down, no questions asked. So here, for comparison, let me fire up my Buell, which is sitting right behind the Scrambler, and you can hear the sound difference. It's got a Jardine exhaust on it with just straight through, so you'll be able to hear the sound comparison between the two bikes. The Scrambler is definitely louder than my Buell, which is saying something because my Scrambler used to be much quieter than my Buell. So draw from that what you will, but with the dB killers removed from this exhaust, it's going to be very loud. Which, you know, that's cool. It sounds like, you know, other bikes that I ride with, Harleys, Triumphs, you know, anything with a V-twin, it actually brings that low pitch sound out of it. So it's hard to see what I'm doing here, but I've got an Allen wrench on the bolt that holds in one of these DB killers, so it's actually easier than I thought. So basically that much of a turn loosened that right up, so I'll work my way around, get these guys out of here. Try to get a focus shot. Here is the bolt. It's 4 millimeters. No big drama. It turns out this is the size of the bolt that comes out when you remove the DB killer. It's not very big at all. So be careful, this thing's made out of stainless steel, which is nice, but that also means that a magnet tool won't help you if you drop it down into the muffler when you remove it. When installing these DB killers back into the bike, you need to have a ball end 4 millimeter Allen. Otherwise you'll never get them threaded in. So the hole on the lower side is large enough. Let me get up close here. Alright, zoom in camera. You can get the bolt started through here and then get it started with the ball end, and then you end up using the straight end with the L to torque it down. Also, stick something you can easily remove into the muffler so that when you drop the bolt, which you will, it doesn't fall down into the bowels of the muffler. That wasn't too bad. It took me about 3 minutes. Ball end, Allen wrench is your friend in order to get this 4 millimeter bolt started home. Don't cross thread it. That would make you have a bad day. But once you get it to where it needs to be, you can torque right down on it by using the L end with the flat side. Just a tip. Now let's go take a ride and see what this sounds like out in the wild.
Alright, here we go for a little ride. You can hear what it sounds like when I accelerate through the gears and do kind of a flyby. This is with the quiet inserts in, obviously.